Scott Dacey, and I am your acting chairman today. Okay, number one, Bob Pruitt, where is he? Bob Pruitt is the outgoing chairman of the 3rd District for Eastern North Carolina and has been holding this position for what, 2 decades?
I think it's
only 5 years. It just seems long.
It seems long. Sir, I can't thank you enough for all of your leadership. We're going to miss your leadership at the top of that mountain. We know that you're going to be around for many years to come, but you deserve a huge round of applause. And thank you for Okay, the couple little rules here. Then you're going to hear me speak. No motion whatsoever shall be in order unless the maker and seconder state their names and precinct. Are we good on that? Okay. Debate on any substantive issue shall consist of a maximum of 2 rounds of debate. Each round shall be a maximum of 4 minutes, evenly divided between speakers for and against. We're not going to go through any of that business today. This is going to be short, sweet. We're going to have the speakers. We're gonna move forward and get together as a party, but that's the rule. If we have to go there, that's the rule. Debate on any procedural issue shall consist of a maximum of 2 rounds of debate. The round shall be a maximum of 1 minute. Unless stated elsewhere in these rules, no delegate shall speak to the convention longer than 2 minutes at any time. No delegate shall speak more than once to a question, except for the maker of a motion, who shall be allowed to speak a second time on his motion after all delegates recognized by the convention chair have done so. Any questions? Good. In 2002, well, let's back up a little bit. Let's do this correctly. Norman Sanderson. Where's Norman? Can you please start us off with an invocation?
We need.
Amen.
Thank you, Scott. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a privilege that we still enjoy in this country, but if we're not very careful, we're going to lose it. There's a lot of pushback right now about us praying in public. I know that even the General Assembly has received the same letter from the ACLU that a lot of towns and municipalities have, that if we continue to pray in Jesus' name, they're going to bring a lawsuit against us. And it's time for the people. I've had 3 calls in the last 2 weeks from town commissioners that don't know what to do. They don't have the money to stand in a lawsuit.
I have great confidence in the candidates that we'll hear from today, and I am certain that we will have a strong team on the field come this November. I encourage all of you to listen closely to the candidates and their remarks today, and then become actively engaged in their efforts to achieve public office. Finally, I want to say a word about our chairman, Chuck Tyson. I spoke to Chuck yesterday, and he is sincerely disappointed that he cannot be here with us today. As many of you know, Chuck had surgery on March 13th in Chapel Hill, and he will be returning to Trentwoods today. He is a fighter, and he's looking forward to bricking these Democrats like you've not seen before. Whether it's Obama or any other Democrat, we know that he's going to be there with us all, standing and leading us. And I know that you all join assistance. Appreciate that. Okay, we are now at the point where we get to hear from our candidates. What I'm going to suggest that we do, we've got about 15 or 16 candidates that have made themselves known to me, or their surrogates. And I'd like to take about 45 minutes to listen to our candidates. If you don't mind, I'm going to start at the very top. So if anybody is here running for President of the United States, please let yourself be known. If, however, you're not here, very good. If, however, you're not here, and we have a surrogate here speaking on their behalf, I would invite you to please come forward. What we're going to do is each person will spend about 3 minutes. I've got a clock here, so I'm going to put you on the clock. Have about 3 minutes to tell us a little bit about the candidate that you're supporting, or if you're the candidate yourself, tell us about yourself. And we'll move through this, I think, pretty briskly. And we are expecting Pat McCrory, candidate for governor, to be here at about 1:45. So I think this should fit in just perfectly. Mr. Bill Ritchie, it is an honor to have you here today, and I believe that you're going to be speaking on behalf of Mitt Romney. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Outstanding. Why don't you come to the podium, and I'm going to put the timer on.
I'm Bill Ritchie. I'm a retired Air Force officer. I'm a Republican.
Can't hear you.
I'm a conservative, I'm a Republican, and a Tea Party. And I'm also 81 years old. And why that's important is that I want to live to see this country turn around.
Right.
8 months ago, I was asked to join the MIT grassroots organization, which is in Raleigh, and I'd like to go just over a few items here about that. The past presidential primary elections have come into play as we are late in the primary election cycle. As a result of this, North Carolina GOP candidates have not been terribly well organized, and consequently the winner has not been well positioned for the general election in the fall. The GOP county, district, and state organizations do not actively are not activated until after the primaries. The need for this is that we're a grassroots organization. We've been meeting for 8 months for Mitt Romney. The Romney team is the only one on the ground in North Carolina, with the exception of Barack Obama, and they've been with us for 8 months. I would say a number of things about Mitt Romney, his experience, and part of which we've had exposed ad nauseum. And I would like to say that all of the candidates that we have, or have had, 12 of them, are better than our current
That's right.
president. When I to research Romney, I felt that he had to have business experience. Both Reagan and Kennedy had business experience. They were well versed in economics, and so that wasn't the criteria. Next, we have the 12 candidates. Everybody's risen to the top, and everybody's been. It's like a pinata. So everybody that's risen to the top has been a pinata. That's and Senator Santorum was the last one elected. Romney's. Well, the other thing I want to say, we must not, we shall not lose again. And now is the time to act.
We are fortunate enough today to have Faith Wright from Wayne County. Where's Faith at? Faith is going to be speaking on behalf of her father, Paul Wright, who's a candidate for governor. And let's welcome Faith today.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Hi, I'm Faith Wright, and I'm here, as he said, representing my father, who's running on the Republican ticket for governor in May. And I'll tell you a little bit about my father. He is born in Buncombe County in the mountains, and he lives in Wayne County. He is a former Superior Court judge and has been in the court system for over 20 years. He currently practices law in Wayne County. And he would like to see the Republican Party in the state move in a more conservative direction.
That's right.
A couple of the things that he is interested in seeing happen in North Carolina, and things also that he is for, is he would like to follow North Dakota and push through abolishing the property tax.
That's
He would also like to resist Obamacare and create a tax credit for parents of school-age children. Some of his beliefs and things that he stands for is that he is for the marriage amendment. He is against Agenda 21. He is for the 10th Amendment and Second Amendment rights to bear arms. And he is for the the voter ID.
Yeah.
He also has some more information on his website, which is paulwrightforgovernor.com. We'd appreciate you checking that out and giving us any support and ideas that you have. That would be greatly appreciated. Again, it's paulwrightforgovernor.com. And as I leave you, I just want to urge you to learn all of your candidates, from governor down to county commissioners. Don't vote on just the fact that you've seen their sign or that you heard them speak. Research them, learn what they stand for, because it is hard after a 3-minute speech to really know what they're about. Or ask your friends, see what they found out. It takes a grassroots movement to really learn. And in the long run, we are going to have a Republican representing us in the fall. But you can vote in May for the person, on the beliefs that you stand for.
Yeah.
And then hopefully the right person will be elected. Mr. McCrory stands for 3 things. He's a Christian, he's a conservative, and he wants to uphold the Constitution. So on May the 8th, remember to vote right and vote Paul Wright. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Faith. Lieutenant Governor candidate Tony Gurley, please come forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Tony Gurley. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. I am a pharmacist. My wife is a pharmacist. We've owned our own businesses since 1984, and we've operated our own drugstores in Raleigh and Durham area. I've been on the Wake County Board of Commissioners since 2002, and just as your acting chair was describing the progress that's been made in this county since 2002, the 10 years that I've been on the Board of Commissioners, we've gone through a similar process. We've had the majority on the Board of Commissioners for 8 out of the 10 years, and as you look at my qualifications to become Lieutenant Governor, I would encourage you to look at what I have helped accomplish on our Board of Commissioners. Because I believe the way that you can anticipate what a candidate will do in the next office that they're running for is to look at what they have done in the past when they've had to make those difficult votes. On the Wake County Board of Commissioners, and yes, we start every meeting with a prayer, and we do pray to Jesus Christ. And the ACLU has sent us those same letters that you're getting here. We have passed, we have come out with an endorsement of the resolution for voter ID. We passed a resolution in support of the marriage amendment. We have dealt with the sustainability issue and now require every environmental issue that comes forward to us to be based on economics. There needs to be an economic plan showing why it is economically feasible. So we have basically come out against Agenda 21 by doing that. We were the second county in the state to adopt the 287G program, whereby anyone arrested in Wake County has their citizenship verified, and if they're not a citizen of this country, they're held for the immigration to deport that person back to their country of origin. One of the things I'm especially proud of and I want to take to the state government is a program that we started called Wake Watch, whereby we take the entire county budget and put it online on the internet. Every person in Wake County can click on a category and continue to drill down and basically see every check that Wake County government spends, who it's written to, and what it's paying for. If the state government would do that, people act differently when they know citizens are watching how they spend money. And we have discovered that. We have one county commissioner that reduced her travel budget by over $8,000 a year because she knew people would be watching. And the entire program only cost $8,000. So we made our money back, and it's going to hurt. The reason I'm running for Lieutenant Governor, and Lieutenant Governor is a position that requires very close relationship with the governor. The Lieutenant Governor could be the perfect position to become the champion for small business in North Carolina. And that's what my background is. That's what we need, is someone that can help cut through the red tape, allow small businesses to grow. That is how we're going to get out of the economic recession that we're in now. That's how we're going to get new jobs, because most of the new jobs are with small business. So again, if you'll just remember my name, Tony Gurley, running for Lieutenant Governor, and I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Jake Forrest, son of Dan Forrest, candidate, Lieutenant Governor, North Carolina. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming.
Hi, my name is Jake Forrest, and I'm here for my dad, Dan Forrest, who's running for Lieutenant Governor. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my dad. First and foremost, my dad is a family man and a Christian, and he believes that strong families and faith are the fundamental foundation of who we are as Americans. My dad has had over 20 years of business leadership experience with the state's largest architecture firm. And being an architect is a lot more than just designing buildings. It's creatively solving problems and challenges that are thrown at you by your various clients. And that's the kind of experience that my dad would bring to the position of Lieutenant Governor if elected. My dad is running his campaign on 3 primary issues: education, immigration, and job creation. And if elected Lieutenant Governor, these are 3 issues that he would tackle in our state. Now, if you can't remember the name Dan Forrest, come May 8th, just remember his slogan, "Run, Forrest, run." Thank you very much.
Jake, thank you very much. Mike Causey is a candidate running for insurance commissioner, and he's here with us today, and we're very thankful. Mike, please come forward.
Thank you. Mike Crosby. I've been covering a lot of ground. I kicked off my campaign in eastern North Carolina on the courthouse steps in Manio on January 9th to bring attention to the problems you have with insurance in eastern North Carolina. That's right, Stephen wrote. You know how we have problems. I was in Pender County last night for their Reagan Day dinner. They had a good crowd, 80 to 100 people. I was in Wilmington this morning, back to Goldsboro with Mayor McCrory, and here, and I'm speaking tonight in Dare County and Kill Devil Hills at their Reagan Day dinner, so I'm covering a lot of ground in a short time. But you know, you have major problems with insurance, and it's pretty bad, but it's getting worse. And one of the problems is there's no companies left writing property insurance in eastern North Carolina. I think we're down to 7 or 8 companies, and I've heard 2 or 3 of those are ready to pull out. So it's a crisis situation in eastern North Carolina for insurance. And I think you can thank the current insurance commissioner for a lot of the problems you now have. I'm in a 3-way primary. I need your support. I need your help and your vote. I have some of these little cards. You'll take some of those with you and tell your friends and neighbors. We've got a website, gocausey.com. They'll tell you a little more. I do want to tell you just briefly what all this department does and how it impacts your life every day. First, I was born and raised on a farm in rural Guilford County where I still live. I'm a 5th-generation farmer. I have a small business. We have a downtown farm market in Greensboro where we sell local produce from the North Carolina coast and about 45 farms, organic vegetables, grass-fed beef, that type of thing. But I have 30 years in the insurance business. I'm retired from the insurance industry, and I've worked at all levels. Last year, Speaker Tillis and the Republican House appointed me as a commissioner under the Department of Insurance. It's a long title. It's a Public Officers and Liability Insurance Commission. But I believe that was the first time in over 100 years that we've ever had a Republican on a commission under the Department of Insurance. And the commissioner, all of them have been Democrats. Most of you know that. And it's time we get a Republican in there, and I think we can do it this year. But the first meeting that I attended of this commission last year, I learned that that committee, which handles covering the buildings and vehicles, handles $33 million a year in premiums. And the Democrat state auditor performed an audit and found that the Department of Insurance for the past 60 years had never put that out for bid in violation of state statute. That's just one example of many things. But the insurance commissioner is the chief fire marshal, chief building inspector, regulates bail bondsmen, collection agencies, manufacturers housing, workers' comp, travel clubs, and a whole list of other things. It's very important. It affects your pocketbook. And you need to pay attention to this race because it's part of the Council of State. We only have 2 Democrats on the Council of State, Commissioners Troxler and Berry. There's 8 Democrats and 2 Republicans. We need more Republicans on that Council of State. And in closing, I'll just say it is important that you tell your friends and neighbors to go vote in the primary. I just pulled the voter returns for 2010. I just left Wayne County and I had to tell them that they had the distinct honor of having the lowest primary turnout in North Carolina. They turned out 6% of the vote in 2010 in the primary. 94% of the people stayed home. You're a little bit better. You turned almost 12% out. So you had 88% of your voters stay home. So we can't have that in 2012. I came down Suttontown Road and I saw all kinds of Obama cars from out of state campaigning for him. So thank you very much, Mike Collins.
Surrogates here on behalf of folks running for Council of State. No. Okay. Where are you from?
Raleigh.
Okay, and what you're doing?
On the new Supreme Court.
Oh, that's right. Good for you to come. Okay. This is a gentleman that's here on behalf of Paul Newby. And it's actually, you're a newbie too, aren't you? Newbie, you. Okay. All right. No other governor, lieutenant governor, no other presidential folks here? Okay. Frank Palumbo, Craven County's very own candidate for Congress of the United States. Please,
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much. First, let me say, Mike, do you leave already? If you just hang on, we can drive with you because we're going up to Pitt next, and then we're heading up to Dare County. So we just came up from New Hanover. So it's been a busy day. We're having a great time, and it's good to be with you today. I really appreciate it. Those of you that were there last night, we had a great time. Those of you that weren't there, you missed it. I remember last night I said I was the timekeeper. Well, he's the timekeeper today, so I got just a couple minutes for you. But here's what I want to tell you. We're in desperate shape here in this country. We all know it. I don't have to tell you how bad it is. The question is, what are we going to do about it, and when are we going to do it? The answer is, we've got to do it right now. We don't have much time left. We've got to do it now. We've got to save the Constitution of the United States. It's in really bad shape. People don't care about it anymore. They're stomping all over it, and we've got to protect it. It's the only way we're going to get our country back to the place that it needs to be. We've got to deal with the fact that the people in Washington, D.C. have been there entirely too long. Career politicians are at the base of the problems that we have right now. They are so concerned about re-election, they don't care about what we're doing, what we need, the problems that we have, and they're so out of touch with us, they don't even know what's going on right here in their own district because they're Washingtonians. They know what's happening up there. They know they don't have an employment problem up there. They know they don't have a housing problem up there. They know that there's no trouble becoming a millionaire when you're in Congress. It's a little more difficult for us. It's about time we shed some reality on those folks and we make the changes that we need to make. It's time we send leadership to Washington, D.C., people who have the leadership skills and the abilities to make things happen, who are not career politicians who don't want to stay there forever. Here's what I promise you. When you elect me, I'll spend no more than 3 terms in Congress. When I retire from Congress, I will not accept a pension, I will not take health care benefits, and I will not accept any benefits that Congress gets that you don't get. Because you're the boss. And I'll tell you, there's 3 ways you can get to my website. PalumboForCongress.com, PALOMBO.com, right, for Congress.com. There's another way, it's SendFrankToCongress.com, a little easier, it'll get you right to my website. And then there's one other way, and this is the easiest way if you want to do it. It's SendWalterHome.com. Yeah.
United States. Okay, moving on. State Senate. Norman Sanders.
First of all, let me just thank you for giving me the privilege to serve you for the last 14 months in the State House. It's been an honor. It's been a tremendous learning experience, and I think that you've done a lot of good things for North Carolina that we need to continue. This time I'm running for the North Carolina Senate because of an open seat brought on by the retirement of Senator Gene Preston, and I'm here to ask for your support today. As a trained EMT and a former law enforcement officer, one of the things that we were taught when we arrived on the scene where somebody was hurt, or there was a victim, was that you move that victim out of the way of immediate danger, you stop the worst bleeding or the worst wounds that are going on with that person, and then you transport them somewhere where they can get emergency treatment. Well, North Carolina is the victim in this instance, because North Carolina has been in a train wreck. And when we got to Raleigh in 2011, in January 2011, we found out just about how much of a train wreck we had been in. The first thing that we did, and you did that by moving the state of North Carolina as the victim out of the way of danger, you did that in 2010 in November when you sent a majority to the state Senate and a majority of Republicans to the state House. And we're going to move that patient a little bit farther this time when we send a Republican governor to Raleigh to be along with the rest of the next thing we were taught and what we did was we stopped the hemorrhaging that was going on in our state as best we could, but we had to put some temporary things in place to stop that hemorrhaging. That's what you do. You save a life, you stop that temporary hemorrhaging, and then you transport. We put those things on in the last General Assembly, and now we need to go back. We need to take that patient into the operating room, and we need to really, really suture and fix the wounds that are in North Carolina so that they can heal properly. If we just leave it like it is now, if we were to put the Democrats back in control now, we'd have lost everything that we've gained in the last 12 months. And it would be a whole lot worse on us next time around than it is this time. And so we have got to continue to stand together as a party and work hard. Whatever comes out of this primary, whoever that candidate is, and I really advise you to go and check out your candidates and see who they are, learn about them, vote for norm.com, and you can read about what I have done in the legislature and what my intentions are doing in the next term and in the next year in the Senate. Find out about your candidates. Choose somebody that you can help. Get out and work for those people. Talk to your neighbors. Send them some money. It's very expensive to run a campaign out here. And I know the economic situation that we're in. I know that a lot of us have just come through a terrible hurricane and we're still trying to rebuild out of that. But we need to dig deep, and we need to find $5 or $25 or $100 to help these candidates win. Whoever comes out of this primary in May, we've got to get behind them because we have got to keep our majorities in Raleigh, because we can send a Republican governor. But if he doesn't have a Republican Senate and a Republican House to help him work, we're going to be in the same shape we found ourselves in this year with a Democrat governor with a red veto stamp, and all she did was try to get in the way and block everything that we did that you sent us to Raleigh to do. So I encourage you to work hard. I thank you for your support. I ask for your vote. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Come on up. Welcome to Craven County.
Thank you. I'm Ken Jones, and I'm running for the 2nd District Senate seat currently held by Senator Gene Preston. I'm running because I think going forward, actually I know going forward, we need to send somebody to Raleigh who is a strong, conservative, experienced leader. With the retirement of Gene Preston, we're losing a lot of that leadership and we're losing a lot of that seniority. We need to make sure that we keep the experience and the leadership there. There's 3 things that I intend to work on primarily when I get elected. The first one is the economy. And I've been saying the economy and jobs. But this time I want to tell you that the rules that are around North Carolina for running a small business are far too complex. The tax structure is far too complex and way too much. So we need to redo that. I'm not against putting money toward companies so that they will come here, give them an incentive so that they'll come here and start a business. We don't need that. We need to create an environment where a business wants to be here. Second thing I want to work on is education. We need to give our children the skills so that they can achieve the American dream. I don't think throwing more money at schools is the answer. I talked earlier about there's more people in leadership in the schools in this state than there are actually teachers that are out there teaching the students. That's money going in the wrong direction. The third thing is infrastructure. I believe in order to bring the businesses here and employ people and be successful, we need to make sure that we have a good road system. We need to make sure we have good canals, a good ferry system, our intercoastal waterways, and our trains. I work on the, I'm the Senate appointee, on the Eastern Region Economic Development Commission. On that commission, we work at trying to get companies here, and we try to bring jobs here. We represent 13 counties, so I have experience doing this. I'm also on the Governor's Land Compatibility Task Force. That's a task force that is putting together some packages to try to keep the military bases in North Carolina after the next Bragg. We have 4 big bases in this state. We need to try to keep those here because it's Havelock alone. Cherry Point brings over $2 billion to this area. So we need to do that. Going forward, I want to make sure that going forward, I want to say again, I think we need to send somebody to Raleigh who is a strong conservative, has experience, and has leadership. I was an Air Force officer. I know what leadership is all about, so I'm experienced there. I want to ask you for your vote on May 18th, and if you want those 3 things, experience, leadership, and conservative, vote for Ken Jones. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Perfect. Outstanding. Okay, anybody else here running for the state senate? Nope. No surrogates? Okay, good enough. Moving on, State House. District 3, Michael Speciale, please come forward.
My, what a good-looking group of people. Y'all get better looking every year. I'm Mike Speciale, for those of you who don't know me. Speciale, that's pronounced as, if you want good representation, send Speciale to Raleigh. We know what the answers are. We know what the problems are. We know what the answers are. Everyone sitting here, okay, if you're here, that means you're concerned enough. You know what the conservative response is to the economy, to jobs. We all understand this, okay? But we need somebody up there in Raleigh that's going to fight the fight. We need somebody up there that's going to jump up and down. We need somebody up there that's going to fight for this district. Over the years, we've lost representation. I don't know that we've really ever had much representation in the East here. We need legislators, several of them, from the East to band together and pull for the needs of the East here. We've got a lot of problems out here, but we all know this. I want to be the one. I've sat up in the General Assembly. I've listened to their arguments. I love a good debate. Those who know me know that I love to debate. I love to argue, and I'm very strong in my opinions. I would enjoy being on the House of the floor, debating the issues with the opposite side. I've listened to them talk about raising taxes. I sat up in the balcony. They were talking about raising our taxes and saying this is good. This was the argument. It's good for North Carolina. North Carolina deserves this. And I don't understand how they got that, but the response was inadequate from our side. I would have loved to have jumped out there on the floor and responded to that. I just want to say I appreciate the support from the people that I've gotten. This is we hear this every time. It's a very important election, most important election in your life. And over the last decade, each one has gotten more successively important. Please vote in the primary. Please help out where you can. And remember, if you want somebody to be up there fighting for you, send Speciale to Raleigh.
Wayne Langston, you're here? Please come forward. It's good to see you.
everybody doing today?
They like the chairman a lot. They do.
It's a good day. I'm a Christian, I'm a Republican, and the Tar Heels are playing today. Everything's good. My name's Wayne Langston. I'm from Chocowinity. I'm a small businessman. This is my first time running, which I think is an advantage for me. I'm going to Raleigh to continue what has been started in the last 14 months. We need to continue to reduce taxes. We need to reduce our regulation. I'm not opposed to regulation. I just think we should have smart regulation. Smart regulation creates a pro-business friendly environment that brings jobs to our state. So I'd like to see that continue. Much like Norm was referencing earlier, we've got a lot of work left to do. One thing I want to touch on is something Scott touched on earlier. We've got a lot of unaffiliated voters we need to reach out to. We've got a big opportunity this year. We need to make sure we take advantage of it. So we need to reach out to those unaffiliated voters, young people and Democrats alike, unfortunately. But we need to reach out to them. But we don't need to compromise our values at the same time. So please reach out to those people, but let them know where you stand at. Don't waver. If we don't stand for something, we'll fall for anything. So please keep that in mind. Again, I'm looking to reduce taxes, regulation. We need to reform our education. I appreciate your vote on May 8th. I'll go up there and represent you the best I can, honestly, with integrity, and I'll do the best I can. I appreciate your time.
Are there any other candidates or surrogates here on behalf of folks that are running in the House 3 district? None. Moving on. House 10. Representative Stephen Monroe. Please come forward.
Good afternoon. You're looking crowded here. Thank you all for allowing me to come here and speak today. I'm serving my third term in the House. I live in Lenore County. Currently, the 10th district is Lenore, Wayne, and Greene. Of course, it's been changed very much. And for those of you that have looked at the map, it is the oddest shaped district in the entire state. It looks like an upside down 3 if you hold your fingers like this. But it ranges all the way from River Bend all the way to the Johnston County line. So to say I'm going to be putting a lot of miles in the vehicle is an understatement. I have spent some time in Craven County. I spent 8 years working here, 2 different stints, 4 years each. I ran the NCMB Nations Bank office in Havelock for 4 years, back in the late 80s, early 90s. Went to graduate school, got out of there, and then worked in downtown Duverne on Middle Street in the Omar's building, making small business loans with the New York Development Authority. And it's what I do now. I do small business lending. Been doing it for myself for about the last 15 years. When we were elected in 2010 and went to Raleigh last year, we had a majority for the first time in 140 years. And so the first thing that we all want to do is go in there and change everything the Democrats have done. But we couldn't do it. And restraint was the word of the day on a lot of issues. But one of the issues that I promised folks I would attack if it was re-elected last time was annexation reform. How many folks in here support annexation reform? Well, I worked on that deal for 2 months. I told folks it was like walking a tight wire while trying to juggle at the same time, working with all the different groups. But we got it through the first time in over 50 years. We also allowed 9 cities or 9 areas that had been annexed or in the process of being annexed to have protest petitions, and all 9 of them rejected being a part of those cities. Property rights are important. I'm also chairing the interim committee on extraterritorial jurisdiction. It's another property rights issue. Folks in those areas do not have a voice. They will have a voice after this short session if I have anything to say about it. It's been a pleasure working with Norman and the other members in the House and working with our colleagues across the chamber over the Senate. But there's a lot of work to do. We were able to accomplish a few more things. We did regulatory reform. We cut Diener by over 20%. I served on that subcommittee. And we made some other changes, but there's a lot more to do. Capping the gas tax is another one that I think we're going to tackle in a short session. And the next year, I think we'll look at reforming our tax system. We're based on the 1930s tax code, and we're in 2012. And all they've done is throw patchwork on it, Band-Aids. But I hope you'll vote for me this coming May 8th. I'm known as a fighter. I'm the co-chairman of the Rules Committee in the House. And as a perfect example, they want to put a hard median in front of a new sports shop in King's Restaurant up in Lenore County. Y'all are familiar with Highway 70 there. Well, I went and met with those owners, and they said, it's going to destroy our businesses. And we generate over $1.5 million just in sales tax revenue out there. Well, I filed legislation to stop it. It passed the House, went to the Senate. The Senate wasn't real fond of it. But anyway, in the meantime, DOT got a little nervous, so they decided to do another study. Well, their first study, the chairman of our transportation committee at the time saw that there were flaws. Didn't need a hard median. Well, we looked at Florida. Florida uses a paint scheme. No hard median, you can still get in and out of the businesses. So rather than costing $1 million, we had dropped down to $100,000, so 1/10 of the cost of the paint. But when the new study came out, found out that we didn't need a median. So DOT guys called me and said, what do you want to do? I said, sometimes doing nothing is the best thing. So we just saved the taxpayers $1 million by not putting up a median, plus saved every one of those jobs out there in those businesses. My name is Stephen LaRoque, and I appreciate you voting me in.
John Bell, I believe, will be running against Mr. LaRoque in the primary, and speaking on his behalf today is Mark Craven.
Hello, hello. I see a lot of friendly faces here. Some of you kind of know me from running. But today I'm here to read a letter from Mr. John Bell for District House 10. And a lot of you know that the District 10 is kind of like a bug splatter on your windshield right now. So he had a prior engagement. The design of the district is kind of crazy. So he's in 4 different counties. So when you have 4 different counties, there's 4 different things going on every weekend. So it's kind of crazy. But here's a letter from John Bell. Friends, it is with much excitement that my family and I announce my candidacy for North Carolina House District 10. The newly drawn districts cover portions of Craven, Greene, Lenoir, and Wayne counties. I'm running to restore the honesty, transparent, and ethical conservative leadership that the citizens of our district deserve. We deserve someone that listens and takes the people's voice to Raleigh. With your support, I will fight for what's right and serve as the people's representative. I understand that it's what it's like to barn tobacco in the summer. I've worked with men and women of Seymour Johnson base and know how important it is to keep our military bases open. By working at the credit union, I've seen the happiness of getting the first car loan, the challenges of starting a small business, and the struggles after losing a job. I understand what makes the people of Eastern North Carolina special, and our community, and our community at a place people deserve to live. Our community is a place where people deserve to live. We need to grow our economy and bring jobs to our area. We must develop a natural deep water port in Morehead City, expand our highway and railroad infrastructure, eliminate regulations that hurt small business, and fight for our teachers and keep money in the classroom. I will work with other legislators, community leaders, and business owners to better District 10 in Eastern North Carolina. In order to ensure the people's voice goes to the General Assembly, I need your support. Working, voting polls, making phone calls, knocking on doors, and voting on May 8th will play a vital role in sending the conservative leadership necessary to move Eastern North Carolina forward. Please go to electjohnbell.com and friend us on Facebook and join our campaign team. Thank you for your prayers and your vote of confidence on Tuesday, May 8th, 2012. Please vote John Bell for North Carolina House. And let me say this in closing. I actually used to work at Cunningham Research Center right before I went to the military, and it's a drip tape farm. Basically, they have these big tubes, and they run water through the rows to feed the plants. And every once in a while, those tubes would get clogged. Well, those tubes are kind of like a politician. Every once in a while, you got to purge them. And I think it's important that we purge in May instead of being purged in November. Remember John Bell.
Thank y'all so much. I am not Justice Nibby. I am his son, Peter. Wow. He's not quite as tall as I am. He has a lot more experience when it comes to being a justice. Just a brief background on my father. He was born in Ashboro, lived in Jamestown, where he went to Ragsdale 1 year ahead of Pat McCrory, and then he prides himself at being a North Carolina born, raised, and educated man, except for the 4 years he's been at Duke University. But he does pride himself in going to Duke University and UNC Law School and making them produce a conservative, which is quite fascinating. So, The Supreme Court is the Supreme Court race is a nonpartisan statewide race, which means that everybody's vote counts in a popular vote election. So, we've been running all around the state saying Scooby-Dooby, vote for newbie as much as we can to get people to remember our name. By show of hands, who likes conservative, law-following judges on your courts? Don't you hate it when you elect somebody to do that and they don't do that? Well, in 2004, you elected my dad on me to do just that, and that's what he's done for the past 8 years. He has a record of following the law and the Constitution. He has a record of knowing the separations of powers and why we have separations of powers, judicial, executive, and legislative. You don't elect a legislator in a black robe. You elect a judge. They aren't supposed to make the laws. They're supposed to follow them. And he also has exercised judicial self-restraint, which means the law may not necessarily coincide with his personal agenda, but he follows the law instead of infiltrating his own personal agenda into the Supreme Court. So, who likes to be educated on who the conservative judges are so you know who to vote for? That's where y'all come in. Your votes are really appreciated, but your support is invaluable to our campaign, and that is what will get my dad reelected. With help from counties just like y'all, there's no doubt in my mind we will win again and keep the North Carolina courts conservatives. Here's a composite of the North Carolina Supreme Court. This will be on the back of the email list that I'm getting ready to send around. This is what we really need from y'all. Because the judicial race has limited funding to keep big money politics out of judicial candidates, my dad is probably not going to be able to buy any airtime in November, seeing as they aren't selling it yet because they don't know what they're going to charge certain candidates who are coming to North Carolina and spending lots of money. So, you put two and two together to guess who that is. So, we need your emails. We aren't going to spam you, but it's just going to be 1 or 2 or 3 emails between now and November just to keep you up to date with the campaign. So, if y'all can pass these back, and if you feel led to put your email down, that would be great. So, in closing, thank you so much. I'm going to hopefully be able to stick around and talk with some of y'all. And remember, when you're telling your friends who to vote for the conservative, remember,
Scooby-Dooby, vote for
who? Thank you so much.
Hello, I am Jim Dancy, Republican candidate for House District 12. And I assume that most of you had read the news this morning. Something actually serious. I didn't even know that they had the Arab Olympics. Did anybody else know that?
No.
Well, apparently, one of the Arabs from Kazakhstan, she got the gold medal, they accidentally played the her national anthem from Borat, the movie. So she was quite surprised. It's good to be an American, isn't it? And just thought I'd throw that in there. I thought it was funny. Accessible and accountable. Let me say that again. Accessible and accountable.
Yeah.
These are two things that seem to be missing in today's government. Our elected leaders are not supposed to hide in Raleigh and forget about the people who hired them. We are their boss, and they need to answer to us. As your representative, I promise to change that. I will be accountable and accessible to the people that I represent. My opponent has not been very accountable. How many people want to allow illegal immigrants to have in-state tuition in colleges? Yeah, actually, you know what? Let's read that again. How many people want to allow illegal immigrants to have in-state tuition to our colleges?
No.
Well, my opponent does. As a matter of fact, he co-sponsored the bill that would allow it. Let me also throw these things at you. A mortgage, a rental contract, a movie rental, a library card. What do these have in common?
ID.
You are right. All these things require photo ID. How come it doesn't take one to exercise the greatest responsibility that we have? My opponent has been quoted as saying, this is part of an organized national strategy to find a way to disenfranchise voters. How? I ask you how. I would like someone to explain to me how asking for a proper form of identification is wrong. On the issue of accountability, let me throw in this number at you. 125. That's how many votes my opponent missed in last year's session. 125. How can he represent you if he isn't even there? I will say that not everyone will agree with the votes I made, but I will be able to explain to you why I voted that way. That is being accountable to those I represent. Probably doesn't surprise anybody in this room, but the average voter doesn't even know who represents them. That's a tragedy. How can we have unknown, faceless people making laws that we have to live by? As your representative, I promise to make myself available to the people of District 12. I will be your voice in Raleigh. I want to know the people I represent, and I want them to know me.
Underperformed. You lost by 7,000 votes. Not going to happen in 2012.
I like to hear that.
Congressional district. You underperformed by 30,000 votes. Not going to happen.
Hey!
You got Pruitt over here. He's not going to let that happen.
Pruitt, get to work.
Okay.
Fine, sir.
We know what happened. We had a little bit of a favorite daughter sort of thing going on a few years ago. She's gone. Scared. He came in. It's not going to happen. Pat McCrory, thanks for coming back to Craven County. We are so glad to have you back. Light him up.
Thank you, guys. It's great to be in Craven County. I love it here. And every time I come to Craven County, I have to go to downtown Newburgh and just walk the streets and go inside the stores. The quality of life here is second to none. It is so beautiful here. My wife and I love coming down here, and I just want to say I'm very envious of where you live, because this is just a great quality of life that you have. And we've already accomplished part of our goal, however, in this upcoming governor's race, and that is this: Beverly Perdue will not be governor next year. Now, I want to warn you, however, her understudies that want to take her place are the same part of, yes, the good old boy and good old girl system that have been running this state for far too long. And they, frankly, have created what I consider to be in North Carolina a broken government and a broken economy. And North Carolina is the greatest state in the United States of America, and we can do so much better if we unleash the resources that we have in this state, from the mountains to the Piedmont to the coast, right here in Newburgh, right here in Craven County. It's unacceptable that North Carolina right now has the fourth highest unemployment rate in the United States of America. Can you imagine? The jobs governor created the fourth highest unemployment rate in the United States of America. We can do so much better. We should be #1 in everything because of you, because of the talent, because of our values, because of our education, because of just the beauty and quality of life of this great state. And I'm running for governor because I want to fix this broken economy and broken government. And let me talk about some of the things I want to do, and then I'll briefly talk about some of the things they want to do. Well, you already know what they want to do. What's the first thing our governor and her understudies, who have been part of the Easley Perdue machine for over a decade, what do they want to do?
Raise taxes.
They want to raise your taxes. and pour more of your taxes into a broken system. They want to ask for money from people who are barely keeping their businesses open, who are barely paying their mortgages right now to keep their homes. And what do they want to do? They want to take more of your money. Ladies and gentlemen, I first believe you first fix what you got. And understand the private sector has been suffering for 3 to 4 years, and they've had to do more with less. And my gosh, I think government can do more with less right now in all areas. All areas. Let me tell you just briefly some of the things I'm talking about across the state that I want to do to fix this broken economy and broken government. The first thing is this, is I firmly believe that we have a regulatory environment in North Carolina that is hindering growth and hindering small business and hindering big business from not only moving into North Carolina, but staying in North Carolina. And it is not just the regulations that make no sense. It's also the regulations, the interpretation of the regulations by the bureaucrats who don't want to work with those who are trying to create jobs. For example, members of the agricultural community there are some good regulations, but the interpretation of the regulations, a farmer may go, wait a minute, I have a better way to do it in which the results are the same. And the bureaucrat says, that sounds like a great idea, but we just can't do it. We just can't do it. But that'll cost $100,000 less. Sorry, we can't do it. That's just the way it is. In other words, they don't treat us as the customer. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the customer. We are the taxpayer. They should be listening to us and working with us in partnership, not acting as though they're our bosses. And that's the way we should especially be treating small and large business alike, going, we welcome your investment, we welcome your employment, let's work together in partnership. You agree with me?
Yes.
This is the type of culture we must have in state government. It's pretty discouraging for me when I talk to Nikki Haley across the border in South Carolina. And she talks and actually brags about, she's a very nice individual, says, we're kicking your tail in North Carolina. You know one reason they're doing it is because they have a much lower income tax and much lower corporate tax. Right across the border, down the coast. Right across the border where I've been mayor, where people can easily move their residence or their business to save 1 or 2 or 3% on their taxes when they're not making any money anyway. We've got to do everything we can to rebuild the private sector, because it's the private sector that's going to get us out of this recession. And we in government, we as leaders in government, whether it be a governor or a mayor or a county commissioner or a state legislature, must do things to work in partnership as opposed to getting in the way. Let me tell you a second area that I have a great deal of passion about. And I hear the other side talking about this issue a great deal, but I'm going to talk about it more because we have solutions. And that's the issue of education. I have a passion for education. I got my teaching degree from Catawba College in Salisbury, North Carolina, after I graduated from Ragsdale High School in Jamestown, North Carolina. And my goal was to always be a teacher. Maybe after serving 2 terms as governor, I'll get a promotion and become a teacher. Wouldn't that be great? Yes. They'd probably make me take more tests to qualify to be a teacher, but I wouldn't be able to teach civics after being governor or mayor. But I'm telling you right now, I have a passion for education. The difference between me and those people who are governor-produced understudies is this. I'm not satisfied with the status quo of education. I'm not satisfied with the incredible high dropout rate that we're having in our high schools, where kids are dropping out at age 16. And you know what happens to a kid who drops out? They become in one of 2 systems. They're either going to end up in the welfare system or the criminal justice system. And that's no good for anybody, from that child to their family to us as taxpayers, to us regarding our economic future. We need these kids to have work qualifications, to have a value of a work ethic. And yet we're failing our children. We have kids right now that are graduating from high schools that employers are telling me across the state they don't have the basic skills to fill out an application form. This is after they graduate. We're failing our kids right now. We're having kids who get accepted to our universities in North Carolina, some great universities, but what do we have to teach them in freshman year? Remedial English and remedial math. They should have had in high school or even junior high. It's inexcusable. That means we have a failed system and we need to fix it. Let me tell you one recommendation that I'm proposing across the state. One recommendation is this, is that I firmly believe that every high school in North Carolina, whether here in Craven County or Guilford County or Mecklenburg County, should have 2 curriculums to reach the graduation, 2 paths toward success. One curriculum, which is heading toward a 4-year college degree. A curriculum which you take the classics in English, you take the algebras, you take the geometries and trigonometries, which help you in college. That's a great choice. But I think there's more than one choice to become successful in North Carolina and to have a success and get a job and raise a family and build a home and build generations. And that is also a vocational and trade path for success. And I was in a small town a couple weeks ago when I was walking down the street. That's actually in downtown Pinehurst in Moore County. And I was walking down the street, and this long-haired guy comes up to me with a hat and a guitar. And he goes, "Are you Pat McCrory?" And I was shocked to be recognized. I went, "Yes." He said, "Well, I'm a teacher, and I'm a Democrat." And I said, "Well, it's nice meeting you. I'm Pat McCrory. And I had my teaching degree, and I'm a Republican, but I love teachers." And he said, "Well, I love teaching, too, and I need to tell you something. I agree with what you're saying." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, I teach masonry. I teach bricklaying at Moore County. And I have kids who have these skills of bricklaying that are absolutely incredible. Skills that I don't have. I couldn't do it. And they take bricklaying, but then they're forced to take other courses that are college curriculum courses that they fail. And then because they fail, they don't graduate or they drop out because they're so discouraged. And then they're out on the streets. And this teacher, who was a Democrat, says, "We're losing these kids." You know, wonder if while I was in high school trying to get into a 4-year college and taking those courses, all of a sudden someone made me take bricklaying. I would have failed that because I have no talent in that area. It's a skill that I don't have, and I respect that skill. Why doesn't our curriculum understand this? Our educators understand. Let's give kids a choice because they need it and our economy needs it. As governor, I'm going to go out and recruit jobs not only from the outside, but I'm going to recruit existing companies to grow. I always think that sometimes we spend so much time recruiting new companies to come into the state, and we hand them all this upfront cash, but it's existing companies that we need to encourage. You get more bang for your dollar in going after your existing customer and getting them to grow. Y'all know this in business, right?
Yes.
That's the way the governor's philosophy should be. Spend time with the people already investing in your state, and then get them to grow that investment, and then we all win. That's what I want to do with these children. I want to build upon the skills and values that they have and teach them the work ethic so they can have the same quality of life and opportunity we have, and then I can tell the existing and new employers considering North Carolina that we have a workforce that will meet your needs. Because we're wasting our time if we don't have the workforce here in North Carolina. They will not come. They will not come to Craven County. They will not come to any county if we don't have the young people who can do it. We as Republicans need to start talking about education because we believe in education. I know you agree with this philosophy, and I think most Democrats do, and so much most independents. And that's who we're going to need to win this election, but it's because we believe it. It will help turn around our state and help turn around our nation. This is the new thinking that we Republicans need to talk about, as opposed to the other side just saying, accept the status quo, tax more people, and put more money into a failed system. We're going to fix the system. We're going to make sure the next generation has that same quality of life that you've so much enjoyed in this area of the state. We're running on leadership, but they're going to throw everything at us that you can imagine. They're going to throw everything at us. The Obama machine is coming in. They're already here. And we as Republicans in this room can't just sit in rooms and talk to each other. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to go out just like you do in my faith. You go out, you bring people in to the tent. We got to go out and reach out to independents and to conservative Democrats and let them know where we stand on taxes, where we stand on creating jobs, where we stand on education, where we stand on infrastructure. We agree on these issues. And I think if we let them know about this leadership, they will come our way. Because we cannot afford to have another executive like we have in the White House or another executive like we have in Raleigh at this point in time. Too many people are hurting. Too many people are hurting. We can't get fooled again. We can't get fooled again. My goal is not to be your boss, because I think that's been the mentality of the power elite that's controlled our state government too long. They've wanted to be your boss. I don't want to be your boss. I want to be your governor. I want to be a leader. And it's going to be a team effort that brings this state back. My goal is to have North Carolina be one of the first states to get us recession, as opposed to the fourth highest unemployment rate in the country. And we're going to do it, and we're going to do it together. With your help, we will succeed. We won't get fooled again. We will have victory in 2012, and we're going to work together to do just that. Thank you. God bless you.